Many of you may have noticed today is not an ordinary day. There are more decorations. And now, it's 8:20 in the morning. We're setting up for an Abhishek. And what's behind all this? Today is Janmashtami. This is the beauty of being a devotee of Krishna. And that is, we get to wholeheartedly celebrate the day that he appeared in the world. And we can put our whole heart and soul into it, and we feel satisfied. Devotees for weeks have been preparing, actually for months, even throughout the whole year, preparing for this day. And that's rightly done, because everything in the world is paraphernalia meant to glorify Krishna. And we can garner that paraphernalia and bring it to offer to Krishna. Now, if one doesn't know who Krishna is, that makes it a little more difficult. If one thinks that God is something impersonal, and as Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, there are various conceptions that people have. Pratatvena, he says, some people see that they are God or Krishna, and they do worship of themselves. Other people think that all the demigods are the same, and it doesn't matter which form you worship, because it all leads to an impersonal realization and emerging into the Supreme. And some people worship the universe. However, Krishna very kindly reveals himself so that we can worship him. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says this is commonsensical, because if you worship the demigods, there's a way in which any benediction they give you comes from Krishna anyway. And although Shukadeva Goswami in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam tells Parikshit Maharaj that he should see the entire universe as the body of the Lord, this vision is refined more and more as the chapters go further in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is that one comes to see that the Lord is standing within the heart. And then as one comes in contact with pure devotees of the Lord, one adopts a very special mood, which is that of appreciating God's private life in his own Dham, Nija Dham. The material world is somewhere off in a far-flung place in the universe. We may think we're in Silicon Valley, but not to freak anybody out this early in the morning, but we're actually on a tiny little planet spinning in a universe that's so vast that we can not comprehend it with our limited sense of measurement. And this universe is just a tiny mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. Not the small kind of bag like you take into your kitchen, but the big kind like you find on the back of a lorry in India. Those big trucks that say, use deep and use horn, sound horn. The kind of big bag that would come off the back of one of those trucks, full of mustard seeds. And this universe that we're in is just one tiny mustard seed out of billions of other mustard seeds. And those who are in the material world, for those who are in the material world, there's good news and bad news. Which would you like to hear first? We can't tell. Some said bad, some said good. In any case, Prabhu, there's flowers showering from the sky, so you have some special status today. It's the second flower that fell on his head from the heavens. Well, Krishna says the bad news is this material world is fraught with birth, death, old age, and disease. The good news is that in this world, one can develop pure love for God in his original form as Krishna in the spiritual world in his own Dham, called Nija Dham. And especially from this earth planet, as we'll hear throughout the day today, the story unfolding about Krishna's appearance on this planet, which is the middle of the universe. In fact, Naimisharanya is the exact middle of the universe. Just as the spokes of a wheel may radiate out from a single point, so Naimisharanya is that point. And this planet is in the middle of the universe. And Krishna comes to his favorite place where he feels home. God has various features based on the way he's interacting with other people, with the devotees. So, for some, he's impersonal. For some, he comes as death. For some, he's the super soul within the heart. For others, he's the opulent Lord of Vaikuntha. But for those who are most fortunate, Shukadeva Goswami says in the pastime of Agasura, itam satam brahmasakana buddhya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena mayashitanam naradarakena sakamvraja rukrita punya punjaha. Some people worship the impersonal Brahman. They conceive of God in an amorphous way. And others worship God in opulence, in Vaikuntha. And others who are in the material world, their vision covered by the modes of material nature. Krishna says, avajananti ma mudha manusham tanamashritam parambhav majananto mamaviyam anutamam. He says, they cannot understand how I appear in a human-like form. But some, sakamvraja ru krita punya punja, because they're extremely fortunate having gained heaps and heaps of bhakti unmukhi sukriti by the association of pure devotees. They understand that Krishna has his own planet, his own life, and to invite everyone to come back to that place, he appears in the world. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham dehamastita bhajite tadrisha kridha yashutva tatparo bhavet. You knew that was coming. Anugrahaya bhaktanam, in order to give special mercy to everybody in the world, Krishna appears in his original form and he performs his pastimes. That's good for those who are able to join those pastimes the time he appears. And it's good for those who hear about them afterwards, because there's no difference between being in Krishna's pastimes when he's personally present and hearing about them even here in Silicon Valley, 5,000 years after Krishna's appeared. The Janmashtami is a time when we slow down with everything else we're doing. Call in sick. Anybody here call in sick? You're on film, by the way. Your boss is home watching it. Hey, wait a minute. And we take all our energy and we focus it. All our energy and focus it. We focus our minds, our hearts, everything we have on remembering Krishna's personal form and the way he appears in the world. Is there any benefit to that? Krishna says in a succinct way in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo viti tatvata tyakva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti surjuna. And that is that if you're able to transfer your attention to me and understand my nature, then you won't stay in the material world. This is the secret to success. It's not something foreign to us because we know that we give our attention somewhere. But in Bhakti Yoga, we transfer our attention and our affection to Krishna. So the Abhishek that's about to take place is a celebration that takes place in Vraj or Vrindavan. After Krishna takes birth, which he does from Yashoda, and we'll talk more about this, I hope, later, because Krishna appears in two ways, one as Vasudev from Devaki's womb, apparently womb, but he doesn't appear like an ordinary child, especially there in Mathura. He appears with a crown on his head. He has a disc and a club and all the emblems of Narayan. But in Gokula, in Vrindavan, at Nanda Maharaj's house, he's the king of Vrindavan, and we'll talk about that also later. Krishna actually takes birth, seemingly like an ordinary child, although he's no ordinary child at all. Why? Because he wants to evoke the affection of the devotees who relate to him in various moods of relationship. And the prominent mood that comes during his birth is Vatsalya Ras. And so the Abhishek is a celebration of Krishna's taking birth in the world. And there's a way that he's bathed and celebrated, and all the residents of Gokula throw yogurt and butter on each other. They decorate everything with flowers. Nanda Maharaj dresses up with a special turban and then a crown on top of the special turban, puts rings on every finger and every toe. He's over 80 years old, and he just had a son. And this is the Abhishek, which will start in 30 seconds, that we'll be celebrating. So we can all turn towards the altar, and then we'll have some chanting during the Abhishek. And those who have a kalash to offer, they can offer now. And then just afterwards, we're going to continue the Srimad Bhagavatam class, and it will go until midnight. Gaur Premanande Haribo.